Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectperson's meeting for May 18th. Please join me in this flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have hear a grievance by a member of the fire department. And we'll start with Scott, I believe, since you brought it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Dolan, for those who don't know me. I'm a lawyer at the law firm of Petrocelli, Martin and Haddow. I'm here on behalf of Tim Smarella, fire captain, who is grieving a demotion down to firefighter. And as a preface, I did get a phone call from the town's attorney today that informed me that some people may not be here.
Correct. I have one that's going to go into one's going to do executive session. I have one that's in school, one is not responding.
All right, and just to be clear, in requesting this grievance hearing, we had requested that this be public, and that all the witnesses be questioned in public, which is allowed under the fire ordinance as amended in 2022. So I don't know if that leaves us at an impasse of how to proceed, or do we just plow forward? And town's attorney said I should turn that question on to you folk.
I'm willing to proceed.
Proceed.
All right. Very well. I'm going to start by making a brief opening statement and then start asking some questions. The fire chief's decision to demote Mr. Smarella from fire captain down to the rank of firefighter was wholly unwarranted. I ask you on his behalf to reverse the fire chief's decision and reinstate Mr. Smarella as captain and remove any negative inference stemming from this matter from his personnel record. Mr. Smarella has worked for the Limerick Fire Department for 24 years without blemish on his record until last month when the chief demoted him. For many years, he has been one of the town's most dependable firefighters, responding to more calls than many of the others on the force. This demotion is an insult to his years of dedicated service. I ask you to reverse the fire chief's decision for 4 reasons. 1, the fire chief's decision is primarily motivated by unlawful retaliation. 2, the fire chief's decision is secondarily motivated by unlawful age discrimination. 3, the fire chief's decision is not based on any actual fire department rules or regulations as would be required under the town's ordinance. 4, many of the factual allegations against Mr. Smarella are based on unsubstantiated firehouse gossip, not the truth. Regarding retaliation and age discrimination, those first 2, it is notable that the chief suspended Mr. Smarella and another firefighter, Steve McLean, on April 15th simultaneously. This was about 36 hours after Mr. McLean stood before you during a public comment period of the Selectboard meeting on April 13th and reported that the fire department under the fire chief's leadership had failed to properly maintain several of the town's fire trucks, leaving engine 2, for example, effectively broken for more than 6 months. As part of Mr. McLean's whistleblower statements, he mentioned that the fire captain, meaning Mr. Smarella, had raised the same concerns to the chief and had been rebuffed. It is no coincidence that he targeted these guys so soon after Mr. McLean's comments. And it is no coincidence that he is targeting the old guys, the longtime protectors of this town, who are now holding him responsible for maintaining that fleet of fire trucks. Mr. Smarella is 62, Mr. McLean is 70, Collectively, they have served this fire department for nearly 75 years. Regarding the fire department rules and regulations, I expect to question the fire chief about his legal basis for demoting Mr. Smurella. Limerick's personnel policy requires that departments have, quote, established and understood rules so that all employees understand what is generally expected of them and what types of conduct is prohibited, end quote. That's from the town's personnel policy, page 19, rules of conduct. Further, the personnel policy authorizes discipline only when an employee has violated those clear rules and regulations. Article 5 of the fire department's ordinance spells out exactly what those clear rules and regulations must look like. Rule 5.1 requires that the fire chief must establish rules and regulations for effective operation and administration of the department. It specifies that those must be issued as formal written directives. Likewise, Rule 5.2 requires that the fire chief or deputy chief must establish standard operating guidelines, commonly called SOGs, about tactics, protocol, equipment operation, and so on. Those too must be issued as formal written instructions. Rule 5.3 requires that the fire chief or the assistant chief must inform all employees when there have been any new or updated rules, regulations, or SOGs. And it also requires that the select board must be notified when those written rules or regulations or SOGs have been amended in any way. The fire chief's letter demoting Mr. Smurella alleges that the department has established such a rule and prohibits all employees of the fire department from using private fire equipment. But in his disciplinary letter to Mr. McLean, the fire chief does not cite any rule, regulation, or SOG. Rather, he cites only a letter from the former chief to Steve McLean, and only Steve McLean, not to all members of the fire department, prohibiting him and only him from using his personal fire vehicles. And that is the only document cited in any of the disciplinary actions against Mr. McLean or Mr. Smurella that cites any proclaimed authority. And that is, again, a letter from the former fire chief to only Steve McLean saying you can't use your trucks. That's not to all members of the department. After questioning Chief Welsh tonight about this, I expect that I'll be able to demonstrate that such a personal email like that, which targets only a single member of the department, cannot possibly be a rule, regulation, or standard operating guideline within the meanings of the Article 5 of the town's fire ordinance. And lastly, regarding the factual allegations, Select Board Chairman has instructed the fire chief to bring his witnesses who have made the allegations against Mr. Smurella. Even if the fire chief can establish that there is a clear department-wide rule prohibiting all employees from using personally owned fire equipment, we would need to hear that from those accusing Mr. Smurella of breaking those rules. And the next thing I would do is I would begin questioning the witnesses. And I don't know if there's a convenient way.
Yeah, I don't know how we can deal with that. I mean, does that sound acceptable?
That works by me.
Just make sure you talk right into it, because if not, it won't catch anything.
This one,
I mean, can somebody come over there and sit? We have.
I can move.
do you want to sit here or you want to be,
Here.
if you stand or sit, your call.
I'd probably rather sit.
Okay, you gotta sit? Yeah, let's just do it that way then.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else. All right, whenever you're ready. Okay. You've been the fire chief for only 4.5 months, right?
Correct.
And before that, you were the assistant chief?
Correct.
In my questions to you, I'm going to refer to several legal documents that grant you authority to act in those roles and simultaneously limit your authority. As I asked, I'm going to probably walk over and hand you these documents as we go. And there's some of the documents I just referred to before. And I'm going to probably have them on the desk. You can refer to those documents as we go. You're good. I'll bring them over. as I just referenced a little bit ago, bring you the personnel policy. And I don't know if it makes sense for me to give a copy for the record to Courtney or to one of you, but
I'll take it.
Showing you what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 1. This is the personnel policy. This is the Town of Limerick Personnel Policy and Employee Handbook. You heard me quote from this in my opening statement, and now I'm going to walk through it with you. I'm assuming that in your years working for the fire department, you're familiar with this document.
I am, yes.
Can you please turn to page 19 under the subheading Rules of Conduct? I'm going to read aloud the first paragraph and the first sentence of the second paragraph, and if you just want to follow along with me. Rules of conduct. Each of our jobs depends on how we and our coworkers conduct ourselves. In any organization, it is necessary to have established and understood rules, so that all employees understand what is generally expected of them and what types of conduct are prohibited. Violation of the rules and regulations will subject an employee to disciplinary action. Did I read that right?
Yes.
All right. Do you agree that this authorizes disciplinary action when a
Yes.
department has, 1, established and understood rules, 2, when those rules are applicable to all of its employees, and 3, when one of the employees violates those clear rules?
Yes.
And next, I bring over to you, this is marked as Exhibit 2. This is the cover sheet of this is the 2022 amendments to the Town of Limerick Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services Ordinance. And if you turn to the next page, you'll see this is those amendments are to the former ordinance. This is shown to be a copy that had been attested by Town Clerk D.D. Tibbetts. So these, on the cover sheet, for those of you who can't see, this is back in 2022, the Select Board amended the fire ordinance to change some of the rules regarding removal of officers and that sort of thing. You're familiar with this document.
Yes.
You've seen it many times, I presume.
I have.
You're aware that this is the legal document under which the Select Board authorized the creation of the fire department?
I am.
And you understand this is the legal document that grants you the authority to act as the fire chief?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention to the third page. They're not numbered, but I'm turning you to first focus on section 5.2 under Article 5. Do you see that?
Yes.
This is standard operating guidelines. There's a subhead on this. I'm going to read it aloud and tell me again if I get it right. The fire chief or deputy chief shall implement or cause to be implemented the necessary guidelines to ensure standard and efficient operation and execution of the department's mission. SOGs will refer to matters of firefighting and rescue tactics, emergency medical protocol, equipment operations, safety, and other matters regarding emergency operation. SOGs shall be issued as formal written instructions. The fire chief is the final approval authority for SOGs. The fire chief may delegate this approval authority to qualified individuals. Did I read that correctly?
Correct.
In your short time as chief, and your years before that as assistant chief, the department has not established any new SOGs, has it?
It has.
It has?
It has.
Can you tell me when those were amended? I can frame that by saying the only copy I've seen were from 2016. I can,
So
I'll
we
show,
have individual policies that come out all the time. They are on first due, I believe, off the top of my head, January 2025 was when they were posted on there. They were sent out individually by email before that.
let me clarify. I'll walk this around. Maybe I think I might be asking the question wrong.
Okay.
I'm approaching this what's been marked as Exhibit 3.
Yes. I'm familiar with this.
These are the SOGs that the firefighters have received.
In 2016, yes.
This was and you're saying that there's been a later version of this.
I'm saying that standard operating guidelines and procedures are updated all the time. They're disseminated by the fire chief. It's not done as, each time we add an SOP, it's not done the entire book. We can add things as they come up.
Did you happen to bring the complete packet of SOGs with you?
I did not.
This is the latest copy of the SOGs that the firefighters I represent have received. So from 2016. And let me ask you, it maybe doesn't matter if you're contending this later version of this, but in these SOGs, there's no provision barring the use of personal fire vehicles. Is
No, there's not.
Is it your contention that in the later amended SOGs, there is a provision barring the use of personal fire vehicles by firefighters?
No. No, it is not a SOG. It's
Okay.
not labeled as an SOG. Correct.
All right, thank you. The water at the fire station is supplied for free by the Limerick Water District, isn't that right?
It is free for us. It's free for the station. It's not free to create, but yes.
This-
We do not pay a bill for one specific line that comes into that station.
And are you aware that the Water District had expressly allowed Steve McLean to fill up his personal fire truck water tanks using that freely supplied water supply?
No.
I'm approaching this what's been marked as Exhibit 4. I'm showing you document dated May 1, 2026, signed by Russ Nutting, who is the former head of the Water District. He said that, it says, S.A. McLean, West Limerick Fire District, has always filled his fire trucks up at the fire station when I was head of the Water District. And it was allowed to do so. And under the SOGs, at least that I showed you, and as you said, it wasn't barred from doing so.
Correct, from the SOGs, yes, correct.
All right. I'll move next to rules and regulations. I gave you Exhibit 2. It's been marked as Exhibit 2. It's the one where I read aloud from the, I can show you where I'm looking.
Yeah, Exhibit 2.
Okay, you got it,
What page
okay.
would you like?
If we, staying on page 3 where we were before,
Okay.
I'm going to read to you about the authority granted to the department for creation of rules and regulations. This is 5.1. The fire chief may implement such rules and regulations as necessary to ensure the efficient operation and administration of the department. Such rules and regulations shall communicate the department policy consistent with town policy, state and federal law, rules and regulations, as well as industry standards, Rules and regulations shall be issued as formal written directives. The fire chief is the final approval authority. However, a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen may nullify a rule or regulation. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I'm going to next read 5.3. This is under a subheading called collaboration. This is Rule 5.3 of the Fire Department Ordinance. It says, rules, regulations, SOGs, and policy, as much as practical, should be developed in a collaborative manner with department leadership and subject matter experts' involvement. All department employees must be informed of any new rule or updated rule, regulation, or guideline via email or by posting electronically or manually in a common access area. The Board of Selectmen shall be informed of the implementation of new, updated, or canceled rules, regulations, or guidelines. Did I get that right?
Correct, yes.
You would agree that that grants you, as fire chief, the authority to create a body of rules and regulations.
Correct.
To be effective, you must inform all members of the department of changes to that body of rules by email or by posting a physical copy of these rules and regulations in common access place, like in the firehouse. Is that right?
Correct.
That is, if a new rule is added or an existing rule is amended, you must repost the body of rules, right?
No, I wouldn't believe so. I believe the specific SOP or SOG would have to be placed.
When you say SOP, can you clarify what you mean by that?
There's standard operating procedures and standard operating guidelines. We'll use SOGs.
Okay. Likewise, you have to inform the select board every time you amend the department's rules and regulations, right?
Correct.
In your letter to Mr. Smarella, in which you informed him that you were demoting him, you wrote, "You are aware that private fire vehicles, including those of Steve McLean, are not to be used within the Limerick Fire Department."
Correct.
When was that rule created?
2022.
Is that a written rule?
That was the one that I attached.
The letter from the former fire chief? Was that rule applicable to all employees of the fire department?
It is applicable to all employees.
I'm going to, since we're referring to it, it's the, let me grab that one. Approaching what's been marked as Exhibit 5. I'm showing you, it's a stack of documents marked Appendix A, you flip through Appendix B,
Yes.
and so on. These were the appendices that you'd attached to a letter to Steve McLean accusing him of a series of wrongdoings, including using his personal fire truck and filling it with water from the department. Is that right? You recognize this?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
All right. I'm going to if you can turn your attention to Appendix D, that's the second to last page in this stack. This is, do you recognize this?
I do.
Is this the letter that we were just referring to?
Yes, it is.
And for everyone's understanding, this is a letter from former Fire Chief Vincent Pelletier addressed to Steve McLean, N95 Limerick Fire Department. It says, "Steve, on several occasions I have noticed you arriving to Limerick fire calls in your personally owned fire apparatus. The town of Limerick nor the Limerick Fire Department have any agreement in place with you for mutual or automatic aid responses to incidents in Limerick. The practice of bringing privately owned fire apparatus to scenes in Limerick will no longer be allowed, effective immediately. Limerick Fire Department personnel are not to operate, be transported in, or utilize equipment from privately owned fire apparatus. The use of privately owned fire apparatus by any Limerick Fire Department personnel is strictly prohibited. Any personnel violating this policy will be subject to disciplinary action. Signed by the chief. This is the only document you cited for authority that personal fire equipment can't be used in the line of duty, right?
Correct.
The letter from Chief Pelletier is addressed only to Steve McLean
Correct.
and not to the employees of the department, right?
Correct.
Are you suggesting that this letter to Steve is a rule or regulation applicable to all employees of the department?
Yes, it is.
There is no other written rule or regulation that you've shared with all the employees of the department, is there?
There's no other rule, no.
Do you remember earlier when we were going through the personnel policy
I do.
and fire ordinances? To discipline an employee like this, you must have a clear rule within a body of such rules and regulations that must have been broadcast to all department employees and shared with the select board. And you must be able to demonstrate that the employee violates such a clear shared and vetted rule, right?
Correct.
Are you telling us that you think this letter from the former chief to Steve grants you authority to demote Mr. Smarella?
Yes. Do you want me to expand on? Rule 5.1. Rules and regulations shall be issued as a formal written directive. This is a formal written directive. This was not just Steve McLean. As it says, any personnel violating this policy will be subject to disciplinary action.
Let's look at 5.3, which is read in conjunction with that. All department employees must be informed of any new rule or updated rule, regulation, or guidelines via email or by posting electronically or manually in a common access area. Was this broadcast to all employees?
I do not recall. I don't know.
You don't know? Was this rule shared with the select board?
I don't know.
To your knowledge, then, you don't know whether it meets the criteria of a rule or regulation as defined under the fire ordinance?
I would be assuming that the previous chief.
I'm not asking what you assume. I'm asking what you know to be true.
I do not know any of our previous policies if they follow this rule. I can't say about any previous policy.
At this time in 2022, were you the second in charge?
I was.
It's part of your job to know the rules and disseminate them, correct?
Correct.
You would have known if that happened.
I do not recall if this was posted, if this was sent out to everybody. I do not know. I do know that the officers were informed. Steve was informed.
It's not about Steve here. It's about Mr. Smarella. This is the guy you demoted.
Steve wasn't, I'm sorry. Smarella was informed in an officers' meeting multiple times.
But not in a way that complies with the ordinance, correct?
He was given this sheet of paper.
He was given the letter addressed to Steve?
He was shown a copy of this. Every officer was.
And was it emailed or posted?
This was emailed. This was emailed to Steve. This was given to the employees, the officers. This is addressed to Steve because no other person meets this. No one else has privately owned fire apparatus. This also came about because of a call that occurred on Route 160, the fire, where Tim and Steve were both on scene and used his vehicle. Both of them were spoken to.
Wait, what is this? When did this take place?
Prior to 2022. That's why this was created.
Okay. Well, let's move next to the witnesses. As ground rules for this grievance hearing, you recall that Chairman Burnham had instructed you to appear yourself and that you're required to bring both your named witnesses and two unnamed witnesses to
Correct.
testify here. Is that
Yes, correct.
Are they here?
I have one person that's here.
Is he ready to testify?
No, not on TV.
And did you observe any of the things you're accusing Mr. Smarella of yourself?
Yes, on camera, yes.
Well, a lot of this is about, you have alleged in your letter that he conspired with Mr. McLean to violate some rules about water.
Yes, he admitted in his pre-determination hearing that there was a conversation that occurred on the 9th about filling vehicles.
Can you elaborate on that?
There was, do you want the whole thing? Do you want me to just talk?
Yeah, go
There's
ahead.
2 employees that were working that day,
Can you name them, please?
Andrew Lord and Colburn Costello.
The two who,
Correct.
for whatever reason, didn't show.
Correct. Both of them were working. They believe they heard a conversation where Steve and Tim discussed bringing his vehicles, Steve's vehicles, back to a fire that we had previously been at to put water on hot spots. They also discussed filling his vehicles.
Wait, say that last part again. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
It was also discussed that they would be filling Steve's vehicles,
Who discussed that?
Tim and Steve.
Wait, that's what those two guys told you?
Correct.
They said that Tim and Steve discussed this?
Tim and Steve discussed bringing 2 vehicles down to a fire we were previously at,
Okay.
and filling his vehicles.
And I guess my question is, you weren't there to observe that conversation?
I was not.
Okay. And likewise, you weren't, I assume this brush fire you're referring to occurred on the 7th, right? April 7th?
I don't have it in front of me, I believe so.
I'm approaching you with what's been marked as Exhibit 7.
Thank you.
This is what's been marked as it says, Exhibit 7 it says on top of it, Limerick Fire EMS Incident Quick Sheet.
Correct.
Dated April 7, 2026. It talks about a brush fire at the business park. Is that the fire we're referring to?
That is correct.
All right. Can you describe to the folks on the board what this document is and what it captures?
This is an incident quick sheet. It gives you the call number, both Sanford's dispatch call number, Limerick's number, the address, what it was for, what units responded. Second page is just a list of people. If they responded, then they're marked down as responding.
I want to focus on the people who responded to this call. You mentioned the 2 guys who aren't here, Lord and
Correct.
Costello.
Yes.
Were they there at that scene of that fire that night?
No.
They weren't there.
It does not appear that they were there based on this.
Yet they seem to have some sort of knowledge about what happened there?
They were only relaying of a conversation that occurred in front of them.
So they wouldn't have any firsthand knowledge of what actually occurred?
No, and I'm not accusing him of using private vehicles at a fire.
That's the only rule you cited is one that prohibits private vehicles.
Correct.
So what are we doing here?
You're asking questions right now, and I'm going to give my rebuttal.
Okay, so
And that's what we're doing.
he's not accused of bringing private vehicles to a fire. So while, in his duty of firefighter, that's what the rule is. But you're not accusing him of breaking that rule. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. I'm not accusing Tim. Are we talking about Steve or Tim?
Well, I guess this becomes one and the same in the end.
This is Tim's hearing, correct?
Right, but this
Right.
is about Steve's actions.
Understood.
You're punishing Tim for what Steve did.
That's not accurate at all. I have the outline I gave you of the reasons
Yeah.
why we're moving forward.
It's because of what Steve did and Tim didn't stop?
Correct.
So Steve didn't use his personal fire truck in the line of duty, and Tim didn't stop him from not breaking the rule. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying what it says on the form. Let me pull it back up. Tim is being accused of allowing Steve to come fill his vehicle at the station after Steve and Tim were both aware that his vehicles play no role within the Limerick Fire Department. That is what's going on.
I follow you now.
The statements about, it was outlined in his letter where I said that these were accusations. That was included because it was found in the investigation stage that we had 2 employees that believed they heard this conversation of bringing 2 trucks down. In the end, when Tim came to the hearing, we discussed. And he said, that didn't happen. I said, then why do I have 2 employees that are saying this occurred? And Tim
Well,
admitted,
you said that they thought they heard some conversation. They believed they heard some conversation.
yes. And
Just
Tim,
gossip,
it's not.
firehouse gossip.
I asked him, why would 2 employees say this? And he said, and he agreed that a conversation about filling trucks took place. But it did not take place of them bringing vehicles back to a scene of a fire. So that was just thrown out. It was only in there to say, this is what these employees said, and then it was removed. The only thing we're focusing on is that a conversation took place on the 9th, 3 days before this vehicle was filled with water.
Well, let's rewind then. Let's go back to the water rule. Do you have that one in writing?
I do not, no.
Is there an actual water rule?
There is a theft rule.
Are you accusing him of stealing?
Yes,
Stealing,
yes,
a crime.
yes. Stealing, as outlined in the employee handbook, theft.
This water that's supplied free from the water district, you're accusing him of stealing free water?
Yes.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But there is no rule, no written rule.
There is a rule for theft.
There's no rule about taking water.
There is not. There's also
Is
no
there-
rule about taking paper or electricity or any of the 100 of items we have in the fire station.
Does anybody in the department wash their truck on
They
duty?
do,
Oh,
yes.
that's theft too, right?
No, it's
Are
not.
you gonna have
It
them
is-
brought up?
It's, no. It has been
This is
encouraged that,
special for Steve?
no, any employee that rolled a truck up that can carry 3,000 gallons of water, which is 1,000 more than any vehicle we own, they are not allowed to fill the station. It just, this doesn't apply to anybody but Steve at this moment.
How about
He's the
mutual
ol-
aid? Are mutual aid guys allowed to fill up their trucks there?
Yes, if
They
they-
do, don't they?
They do.
Are they stealing?
No, they are not.
If Steve is driving his truck for one of the other departments he works for, doing mutual aid, is he then allowed to fill up his truck?
One of his trucks,
That's right. If he's allowed to use his personal trucks for other departments, just not Limerick. He does, then if, let's just say he goes and does work for another department,
yeah.
and he's called in on mutual aid to Limerick. And you're threatening to fire Steve, so this is a real possibility that he'll be called into Limerick on mutual aid and filling his truck.
We're speaking about Tim Smarella.
We sure are, but this is about what Tim did or didn't do to stop Steve from breaking a rule that we don't even have in writing.
Correct. Steve is not a fire department. We do not call Steve's vehicles for mutual aid.
But
We have mutual aid agreements as outlined.
I think we're talking about theft now. This has gone beyond what, this is a new accusation you've raised.
This is
This is about criminal wrongdoing. You've accused him of a crime, and I'm trying to find the scope of what you define as a crime. If
I'm
he
accusing him-
fills his truck while operating on mutual aid, say if he's working for Waterboro and does that, theft?
If he comes to Limerick,
If he's on mutual aid in Limerick and doesn't want to go back to Waterboro with an empty truck,
private fire apparatus don't play a role within the Limerick Fire Department. We
unless
don't
they have
ask
mutual aid from another department.
if they're mutual aid and we have an agreement. We don't have an agreement with Waterboro that they can send other units that are private vehicles. This doesn't apply to anyone else. Like, no one else has private vehicles.
Does the cement plant in town have private fire vehicles?
No, it does not. It is a private water truck.
Water truck.
Yes.
Is that ever used in any Limerick fire operations?
It has been, yes.
So this is just a special rule for Steve.
It's not.
Others are okay with it. You're okay with others doing it, just not Steve.
That is not accurate.
All right, well, in summation, we have a non-formal rule that was sent by about personal fire apparatus, sent from the former fire chief to Steve individually, addressed to Steve and only to Steve. In that letter, he says that there's a policy which hasn't been enacted in accordance with the fire ordinance. Secondly, we don't have a written rule about water. Although we've had some sensational allegations that this is a criminal act, theft, there is no rule about water. There's no written rule. There is only his word right now, which is not within the criteria established by the fire ordinance. Without a clear written rule or regulation as defined in the fire ordinance, the personnel policy does not allow this sort of demotion, this sort of discipline as has been carried out. This is not within his authority to do, and I think he's exceeded his authority. With that said, I do need to ask a few more questions of some other people based on the allegations that have been raised here. If I could have, first of all, Tim, if I could have you speak briefly. And maybe take the chair over there. The chief just made some characterizations of a conversation you had with him. Were those characterizations of that conversation you had with him during the predetermination hearing accurate?
Yes.
I mean, was it accurate that you admitted to conspiring to have Steve bring, after emptying his trucks at a brush scene, was it accurate that you conspired with him to have him come to the department to fill up his trucks with water?
We had a conversation, Steve and I did, in the fire station about him bringing up a couple of trucks to fill with water, and it never happened until the Sunday. He brought one truck up while I was up there cleaning off the apron.
Is it, when he characterizes what those two other guys said, Lord and Costello, did you confirm to him what those guys said?
I did, but I actually talked to both of them, and they said I never said anything about taking any trucks to any brush fire.
I was telling that both those guys didn't show up here today when you had a chance to talk to them directly. All right, those are my only questions for you. My other questions are for Steve McLean. I just want to I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the timing. You heard what I said in the beginning about you appeared before the selectmen on April 13, and you talked about the failure to properly maintain the fire vehicles.
Yes, I did.
And why'd you raise those allegations?
Because they've been ignored for about a year, and as the select board got the bill, okay, from the company, they'd see that 3 of the valves were replaced in that truck. So essentially, that truck should have not been in service.
Yeah, I listened to your comments, and in your comments, you make reference to bringing your concerns about neglected maintenance of the trucks to the fire captain. When
Yes,
you
I
said the
did.
fire captain, who'd you mean?
Tim Smarella.
So you're saying that-
Yeah, Tim Smarella, as the captain, was in charge of the maintenance on the vehicles, and there's always been discussions about what's being done. We didn't have money. The tank truck was sent out to have some air leaks, but it was never finished, and that was last September. So yeah, Tim Smarella was the one that took care of all the maintenance, so that's why I brought it up to him.
And you told the select board that, you told Tim that, and he brought it up the chain, up to the chief,
Yes.
and still wasn't acted upon.
Right, several conversations with the prior chief too, that these trucks needed to be fixed, and they weren't fixed. You know, prime example was the utility truck. The sticker was out for a month or two, and that was finally done.
So in your comments to the select board, you were effectively saying that both you and Tim had raised these concerns and been blown off.
Yes,
And then about 36 hours later, the two of you guys were both suspended.
right,
Is the timing about right?
correct.
Was that timing, when you got that suspension, what did the timing of all that mean to you?
Well, it was pretty obvious. But for me, even more, it was obvious at the Budget Committee where we not approved the fire budget because the fire chief never showed up to the Budget Committee meeting to finalize his budget. So you had strike one. Strike two is when I told the board that, you know, this equipment, if it's sitting in our station, should be ready to go at all times. All right, so you had that, and then 3 days later, I get suspended. So,
When you made those comments to the select board, were you thinking of it as a whistleblower kind of statement?
oh, we're certainly a whistleblower. We've waited long enough. We have enough money to fix our equipment. We should be right on top of it.
All right, that's all I got for now.
Can I ask Steve a question?
Fire away.
Steve, when you came to the meeting on April 13th to discuss the problems with the equipment, did you tell anybody before you came to the meeting that you were going to be bringing it up at the meeting?
No.
Okay.
I came here because nothing was done, and in the history of me being here the last 26 years, everybody knows I'm going to go up to the mic and tell you as it is. You may not like it, but I told you as it was, all right? And the proof was in the pudding on engine 2. You guys got the bill, all right? You guys got the bill. 3 valves are replaced on that truck, okay? So anybody that knows anything, that truck really was not up to snuff. It is now, but it wasn't then. So,
Thank you.
In closing, we've gone through the rules. We've gone through the authority of when and how the chief would have the ability to demote an officer like how he did. The removal of an officer from rank of captain down to firefighter is a very severe punishment. Yet, the personnel policy does not allow punishment like that without a clear rule to all employees that has been also shared with the select board. And it has to be a clear violation of that rule to merit discipline. What we have here is we have no rule about water, about trucks using water from the department. There's no rule. He couldn't cite to any rule. He couldn't cite to any SOG. There's no regulation. There's nothing. There is a letter from the former chief to Steve telling Steve and only Steve, you can't use your personal fire truck in the line of duty. That was not sent to you guys, which would have been required for us to be effective, because it would be your prerogative to be able to then strike it down. It was also not shared in the normal fashion, posted to all members of the department. This is a letter addressed to Steve and only Steve. This is not how fire department rules and regulations are done. They're not directed to single individuals. They're supposed to be done in collaboration with the people who are involved, and they're supposed to be done in a way that helps make a better operating department, not individual vendettas or grievances, problems, personality conflicts. What you have here is a demotion without authority, and I ask you all to reverse it, reinstate Captain Smurrell to his proper rank that recognizes his years of dedicated service and how he's helped protect this town for years, and that you remove any blemish of these accusations against him from his personnel file. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
One last point, I'd also note that without any personal knowledge from the only witness who testified about these allegations was the chief, without that being substantiated by the lieutenant who's here but doesn't want to talk, or of the 2 firefighters, that can't hold any water. This is a hearsay firehouse gossip without merit. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want? Same thing, actually. I think so. I'm not an attorney, so I have to ask, is Tim willing to answer questions? Is that something that I'm allowed to do?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to give an overview of the whole situation. On Monday, April 13th, I was advised that a passerby had seen one of Steve McLean's personal trucks being filled using town water from the Limerick Fire Station. On review of station cameras, I found that this did occur around 9:47 on Sunday, April 12th. If you go to Appendix A and B, that's going to be pictures of Steve's truck pulling up. I believe you just saw that as well in the other handout. It is estimated that 3,000 gallons of water was taken from the station. The camera footage shows Captain Smarella opening the bay doors, moving a vehicle, and getting a hose to fill McLean's vehicle, while the majority of the department, myself, Deputy Chief, and Assistant Chief included, were away at a training in Hollis. Captain Smarella provided a statement indicating Steve called him and asked him if he was at the station. Steve indicated he had permission from a selectman to fill his truck. The statement was later found to be false. Appendix C. Appendix C is an email I sent to Howard Burnham. I'm currently investigating the possible unauthorized taking of 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of water from Limerick Station by Steve McLean in one of his tanker fire trucks. Another employee has provided a statement that McLean came to the station and advised that he had permission to fill his truck by Howard Burnham before doing so. Are you able to confirm or deny if you provided consent for him to do this? If he was given permission, would you be able to provide a date of when this was given? Howard responded, Jared, I did not authorize anyone to do anything at the fire department. Smarella has been aware since 2022 that private fire vehicles are not to be used within the Limerick Fire Department. So this is what we just covered, this same letter. This letter, the use of privately owned fire apparatus by any Limerick Fire Department personnel is strictly prohibited. Any personnel violating this policy will be subject to disciplinary action. Tim was aware in multiple meetings that we were not going to allow private fire apparatus on our scenes. They reference Carroll Materials. I can give you another name, Poland Spring. If they're driving past a fire, they have a policy that they will stop and offer assistance. They'll back up and dump their water. There is no confusion between a Poland Spring truck or a yellow vehicle from FR Carroll's. It is not a fire truck. Steve's vehicles say Limerick Fire District. They have red lights. They are red. They're old fire vehicles. There can be confusion, especially in multi-agency response, where people can take things that should not be taken from that truck. We don't know about insurance. We don't know about hose testing. We know about nothing. This was issued because this is a safety concern. This is a direct order. As outlined in this, it is written, and it was sent to him by email. No one else on this department has private vehicles, and it also says any personnel violating this policy will be subject to disciplinary action. At no time during or after this event, up to the date of administrative suspension, did Captain Smarella contact the chief or any chief to verify or notify them this occurred. Again, all three chiefs were available at the time of filling by phone as they were in a training in Hollis. During investigation, Lieutenant McLaughlin came forward and stated that two employees approached him as he arrived on shift and described overhearing a conversation that occurred between Smarella and Steve regarding filling Steve's truck. I'm not using this as evidence. I'm trying to say that this conversation occurred on the 9th. McLaughlin confronted Smarella about this. Smarella stated that if we don't fill his trucks, it will happen anyway as he has a hydrant wrench. This same statement was made in his predetermination hearing, that if we don't fill his trucks, it will happen anyway because he has a hydrant wrench. What that means is that he can open any hydrant in town and take water. This conversation occurred on April 9th, 3 days before Smarella allowed Steve to fill his truck. On April 15th, 2 days after I received the initial complaint, I asked Captain Smarella to come to the station, discuss the aforementioned complaint, and advised him the complaint was under investigation. I asked if he could provide a statement and requested with emphasis that Smarella please be forthcoming with all information. Smarella only provided information about Steve calling, arriving, and filling his truck on that day. Appendix F. Appendix F is an email from Tim Smarella to me. On Sunday, April 12th, Steve McLean asked if I was at the fire station. He said Howard Burnham from the Selectboard told me he could fill his tanker with water at the station. So he stopped by and filled his truck while I was washing down the apron. Tim Smarella. Findings of the investigation My points are, a discussion occurred on April 9th in which Smirella discussed using water from the station to fill McLean's trucks. When asked to provide a statement, I asked Smirella to be forthcoming with information. He omitted that a discussion took place 3 days before this vehicle was filled. The only information Smirella provided was that McLean called on that day, advised he had permission from Selectmen, and then pulled up to the station. Smirella was already aware from this letter that was disseminated to the officers that McLean's vehicles play no role within the Limerick Fire Department. Smirella had multiple opportunities to inquire with or alert any chief about taking water from the station to fill private vehicles for 3 days preceding the 12th. Additionally, he made no attempt to notify any chief officer after the fact. This was done on a specific day where every person was out of town on the training. This was intentional. They did not ask. They knew that had they been asked, we would not have allowed it. I would not have allowed it. The end of his letter, as an officer within the Limerick Fire Department, Captain Smirella is expected to follow and enforce rules, act in the best interest of the department and town, and uphold the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Captain Smirella intentionally failed to disclose relevant information pertinent to an investigation and attempted to deceive. Captain Smirella failed to take any action while an employee took town-owned property from the station for personal use. It is for those reasons I move to demote Steve McLean. I'm sorry, Tim Smirella. If you give me just a moment, I just have a lot of documents in front of me. As far as, let's just go through the statements that were made. Age discrimination. There's no evidence or examples of age discrimination. There's really nothing else I can say about this besides this is false. We talked about repairs and not doing repairs. I have an outline of what Steve said during that meeting. My question tonight would have been, what specific time, what specific repair was asked for that I said we could not do that? That is a false statement. I have never said that. If we break down Steve McLean's statement, first of all, he's not a whistleblower. This is about Tim Smirella. It's not about Steve McLean. Tim Smirella is not a whistleblower. McLean, Thursday, our engine 2 was repaired, but back in service. But the heartache to this is that truck's been down for over a year. This statement's false. The vehicle was not out of service for any extended amount of time. I am unaware of any vehicle out for more than a day or two for repairs. Steve McLean, I was saying there's no truck sitting in the fire station that shouldn't be ready to go. We've known about it. I've talked to the captain in charge, and every time he wanted to do something about it, oh, we don't have money. At no point have I ever told Smirella that we could not do a repair due to budget. We have sufficient budget to handle vehicle repairs as they come up. I've only discussed budget repairs on one occasion, which I outline below. In early April, while Smirella and I were in the vehicle bays, I inquired in the tires of engine 2 and 3. It has been discussed in previous years that these need to be replaced due to aging out. I inquired about DOT rules, NFPA rules, and I deferred to him what he thought the best course of action would be. I asked what he thought we should do as far as replacement. He stated we should replace the steer wheels on both engines this year and the rear wheels next year due to costs, so the expiration dates would also be staggered. As captain, Tim Smirella has complete autonomy to maintain vehicles. He often schedules repairs, completes state inspection stickers, and handles everything vehicle-related without requiring import or permission by me. Tim is the person in charge of vehicles. Steve came up here and said the utility inspection was out. Is that one of the things that I said that we could not repair because we didn't have the money? I've never made that statement. Both the previous chief and I have both had the understanding with Tim that repairs costing large amounts of money, like that of a turbo failing in the utility 1 in 2024, will be brought up before getting work completed to ensure we have the resources. Other than that, it has been expected that vehicle maintenance captain would take care of vehicle maintenance. McLean, engine 2, all right, the primer valve broke at the fire we had. And, from separate part of his statement, so 6-8 months ago, okay? That and they replaced 3 valves that were broken. So here we are 6 months, 8 months with a truck. The valves were going before that fire. What I'm saying is it shouldn't sit here for 6 months. If a truck breaks, we call a company up, get them down here, fix the truck. I sent an email the night this occurred. The email was, please be aware the information shared on tonight by Steve McLean was mostly inaccurate. Our engine 2 was not in disrepair. It had a very specific issue that would rarely occur if the operator did not shut the primer as intended. This caused the primer motor to draw too much energy and shut down power of the gauges and accessory lights. Both engines had problems that were considered minor and not mission critical by our vehicle maintenance vendor. We were placed on a wait list as they were operating on limited staff and only fixing issues that were essential for vehicles to operate. They did advise that should we have an issue that affected the trucks, they would come complete the repair. Again, is that one of the fixes that I made a statement that we could not pay for? Because it wasn't an option. The company said that they could not repair these vehicles. Our vendor just recently had staffing levels to take on non-essential fixes, which is why 3 vehicles had work done in those previous 2 weeks. All right, the next truck they're going to fix is the tanker. He talks about an air leak. Tank 7 has an air leak from the compressor. The compressor is able to overcome this leak, and it's not an issue. It is an issue, however, when the vehicle is parked and turned off, and the air leaks back down to 0. This has been an issue for many years, possibly 5 to 10. In September or October of 2025, as Steve stated, Tank 7 was brought to Maine Undercar for the purpose of preventive maintenance, inspection, and repair to very long-standing air leak that appeared to have gotten worse. Repairs were made, and although the air leak was now better, it still existed. Per Smarella, Maine Undercar was unable to fix this any further. Tim Smarella, the captain of the vehicles, decided an acceptable fix was to put a ball valve on the air inlet. The plan being that when operating to Tank 7, you would fully open this ball valve and allow the air to enter and then close it. This takes 25 seconds for full pressure. This repair has remained this way since October 2025 and was stated to be acceptable by Tim Smarella. He has never attempted any further fix on this or advised it would need it. Steve spoke about engine 2 going up to the fire in Parsons Field. Okay, so we didn't use that truck because we used engine 3. So that made that truck virtually useless. It cannot suck water. The dump valve was taken out, so it can't dump water. So I put it on the other side of the street because it was in the way. Statement from Steve that the dump valve was taken out of it. This was a preference, it's not broken, and it was done in 2017. The statement from Steve, it cannot suck water. This is referencing the primer valve. This statement is false, as detailed above. Attempting to pull suction, not closing the valve, caused accessory lights and gauges to turn off. It was still able to draft, aka suck water. Additionally, I received a call from Steve McLean on 4/7 while at the station. During this phone call, he brought up the vehicle primer. I advised him it was fixed last week. I was incorrect. He stated it was not, and that it was only the water level indicators that were changed. The night of 4/7, an officers' meeting was held with a total of 7 people present. While going around the room to check on each officer's assigned duties, I got to Smarella. I asked about the primer valve and if it was replaced. He advised it had not been and stated there's nothing wrong with that primer. Tim Smarella, who's over the vehicle, said there is nothing wrong with that primer. He went on to say that it closes hard and people aren't pushing it all the way down. I asked how old it was and if it should be replaced. He responded that it may be original and it could be replaced. I then told him that we should get it replaced. He called and had engine 2 and engine 3 fixed that week. And that was only because the company that fixed them just became available for repairs. By Smarella's own words, the vehicle had no issue with the primer. Additionally, this directly contradicts that Smarella had asked for repairs, which I denied. I have outlined the reasons for demotion in his termination letter. One of the issues is that he failed to stop McLean. As a supervisor, she did not allow town property to be taken without permission, and if it is, he should report it. He allowed a firefighter to do something they are not allowed to do. In the form, in the response from Tim, Attorney Dolan says, beyond the factual allegations of who said what and when, it's worth knowing that the fire department has no formal written rules or regulations or standard operating guidelines on the use of personal fire vehicles or the use of water from the fire station. In fact, firefighters routinely use the water from the station to wash their personal vehicles. This is theft. Tim attempts to state that there's no difference between washing a vehicle and taking 3,000 gallons of water. Anything taken in sufficient quantities can be stealing. We could draw parallels with other items. Is it okay to use a Band-Aid from the station? But taking 10 boxes is theft. You can power your laptop, but if you take electricity and power your EV, that is theft. The argument that we have no specific policy for taking water is a bad argument to make. We would need endless policies to cover every item within the station. On 5.1, rules and regulations. Rules and regulations shall be issued as formal written directives. We emailed this to Steve. My only point with the vehicle is that There's no reason for his vehicle to be filled at the station. There's no reason for him to be taking water because he's been informed previously his vehicles are not to operate with the Limerick Fire Department. They serve no purpose within the town. Taking town water to fill a vehicle that has nothing to do with this town is theft. These things occurred on the day that we were all out of town intentionally because we wouldn't be there. They knew that we would say no. As a supervisor, Tim's responsible for looking out for the station. They're saying that he should not have stepped in because this wasn't a policy. Even if that's the case, and he doesn't agree that this is not a policy, he was told in 2022, and could have raised this issue before, that Steve is not to bring vehicles to the station, not to calls in Limerick. He disregarded this rule in this case. He could have come before the select board since 2022 and said, this should not apply. It's written right there. The board of selectmen can nullify a rule or regulation. FR Carroll's, I feel we spoke about this. We did. I'm not going to go back over that. I'm just going to go over everything that happened. On the 9th, 3 days before the truck was filled, there was a conversation about filling Steve's trucks. It's witnessed by 2 employees. They did have some of the facts wrong. Trevor McLaughlin, lieutenant, heard this, spoke with Smarella. Smarella, in his predetermination hearing, did agree that a conversation about filling trucks happened. That was 3 days before they actually filled the vehicle. Either one of them could have come and asked for permission to fill a vehicle. They didn't because they knew that they would have been told no. The letter that we have from somebody in the water department that says Steve has always had permission, I don't know of any time, it's definitely not in this new station, that Steve has had permission to just roll up and take water. I don't know when nutting was over the water district, but yeah. So apologies. So he filled his vehicle. After the fact, they did not tell us because they knew that it wasn't allowed. When I asked him to provide a statement and emphasize being forthcoming, he was not. He only said that Steve drove up and filled his truck. He lied. He's an officer. We need to know that our officers are doing what's right, looking out for the town, and being honest, especially investigations. I'm asking the board to uphold.
Am I allowed to ask Steve another question? Steve?
I just want to preface this by saying that Steve is currently facing potential termination in a separate action by the fire chief. So,
I'll be careful.
thank you.
Just make sure you talk into the mic,
Into the mic.
Since you received the letter in 2022, is this the first time you filled up your water truck?
No. What I would like to know now, with your approval, is where is the letter that my attorney at the time sent the town of Limerick? I want to know where that is, all right? Because the town of Limerick was told, and the town's attorneys at the time totally agreed with my attorney, you have no right to tell anyone what they can and cannot bring to a fire scene, okay? And I'll elaborate at my hearing, believe me, all right? This is about Tim Smarella, all right? I called Tim after we had a call in Limerick, and yes, everyone else was gone. Tim, I, and one other guy went to that call in Limerick, all right? Because we had no coverage in Limerick. That's great. Okay. So we went to that call. I came back, all right? That particular tanker rolled out of the storage yard on Sunday morning. And I said, well, I'll call Tim. I said, you up there? I'm going to bring that up. There's 7 other trucks in my yard that are full, okay? 7 that I fill in the 4 ponds that I have. I don't need Limerick's water, all right? But to fill the 3,000-gallon one was a lot quicker, bring it up to the station, right? This has gone on the last 26 years, okay? And many times, those trucks go to fires all over, okay? And the garbage about hose testing, that was brought up back in '22. When a tanker rolls up, the tanker's dumping water, okay? There's no hoses. And just for the fact, when Newfield tests their hoses, they always offer to test mine, so they are tested. But it's neither here nor there. This is about Tim Smerla, okay? Not about me. He's a victim of circumstance.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Just looking at Appendix F, as far as, I mean, if Tim was told by Mr. McLean that Howard Burnham, our chairman, then it seems to me that that he was buffaloed. And that be it. And another thing, if we're going to do this again, and there's going to be attorneys present for the other side, that we should not even be doing it without our attorney. And we shouldn't make any decisions or anything till our attorney looks at everything, that goes over everything tonight.
What's the rest of the board view?
Agree.
I don't have a problem sending it to, well, there is an issue with that, because this could be delayed because, as we know, we have to find new counsel, which means we have to find somebody, then eventually vote on it. It's going to delay the process and potentially hurt Tim even further. I would,
Well, if this whole hearing, and then Steve's got another one coming up, then why was 3/4 of it about Steve? It should have been just about Tim, with, some of the evidence or whatever
right.
involved in it. It shouldn't have been mostly about Steve. And his attorney also did bring up Steve, and he's got another hearing coming up.
Steve was just providing background information, too.
I would like to take 10 minutes in executive session so we can.
Can I just make a point that there's not certainly going to be a hearing for Steve McLean?
I didn't think you had asked for a
Yeah,
grievance.
it hasn't gotten to that point yet. He hasn't fired him yet. I assume he's going to, but we haven't received that determination. And we only have a hearing if there was some sort of determination of that sort.
So I would make a motion that we take 10 minutes in executive session to discuss.
Okay. I don't know what the, well, yeah, we can do it under this one. Okay, then. Under executive session, based on 1 MRS 405-6A, we're going to go into executive session for a personnel matter.
For about 10 minutes.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All opposed? Okay. I'd like to have a motion to go out of executive session.
So move.
All in favor? Okay, we have deliberated this, and we feel that we need some legal help, and we will have the findings or our decision next Monday. Okay?
7?
At 7 o'clock. Okay?
Oh, Tuesday.
Oh, good, that's right. Sorry. Tuesday, then.
Oh, we'll have it Monday, okay? No, Tuesday, definitely.
Is that agreeable? Okay.
That work for you, Jared?
Okay, let's
Will
get
be a
on
written
to the...
statement there. Something in writing to submit for the file.
Yeah,
Thank you, good night.
Okay, could I have a motion to accept the warrant from last week? We've all signed it.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Let's see, there's no warrant this week because we had and we weren't alone. There was a computer glitch with Trio this morning that took everything down, so we're not going to have the warrant until tomorrow morning. So we'll deal with that and do like we did last week, come in and review all the bills and get them signed so everybody gets paid, so. Okay, I have a motion to approve the May 11th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Vote. Announcements.
Select Board will meet on Tuesday, May 26th at 7 PM. The Planning Board will meet on Wednesday, May 20th at 7 PM. And all FOAA requests that require information from the Treasurer's Office will be filed, but not until at least the middle of May due to the workload in the office. And a part of the hearing a citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, and members of the public will be tolerated during any meetings. And please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. For your convenience, complaint forms are readily available on the sign-in table.
Should we change, like, do we want to keep pushing that date out for the treasurer's office for the FO? We're now in the middle of May. We're past the middle of May. So I don't know if we want to push that date out. If we want to take that off.
I think it's, we had some, like the auditing report, things like that, that needed to go out. I think at this point, we need to move forward. She needs to start responding to the FOA requests and providing information.
Yep. So I think that can come off the announcements for next week, please. Thank you.
Okay, department reports. Audrey Walsh.
Audrey Walsh, Limerick Rec Director. First of all, happy birthday to Lori.
Thank you.
There is an account set up for Limerick Parks and Rec at JD's, so anybody can drop off and just put it under Limerick Parks and Rec. We're at 320 with, I have some more to bring in to add to that. I did go down to the rec field, and one of the swings is broken, asking permission to get that fixed. I did bring the swing home with me so it didn't get damaged. Asking if we can get 4 to 5 trash barrels for returnables, marked for returnables, as I did collect some from the field to add to the account as well. And also a status for the pickleball court, as there's some community members bringing it up, of what we can do to get it up and going to be able to be played, because there's been money put forth towards this.
Okay, first of all, I make a motion we go ahead and have her repair the swing, whatever it takes, go down to the hardware store, get whatever's needed.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, secondly, I would say go to the hardware store also and pick up whatever you need for trash cans. You have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Okay, now as far as the pickleball, I have material being emailed to me on, I mentioned last week about the unitized, if you will, stuff that can be used over concrete.
Okay.
So just the minute I get that in, I expect it tomorrow.
And that's materials, you said?
Yeah, yes. Basically, it's a kit. We can look at it, or you can look at it and say, this isn't gonna work for us. I don't know if it's gonna work right now. I've never seen the product.
Okay.
But I've asked for the proposal from 2 companies.
But I do think it's going to have to go out to the town to vote
It is.
before we can.
I just wasn't sure, it was brought up from community members, if we could just stripe it for now in the courts to be able to get it in use for people to be able to on-go and be able to use it with all the money put into it.
Well, it's a case of how much do we put into it, because like I said last week, as far as putting paint on that concrete, with all the rain we've had, there's no way that you're gonna get paint to stick to anything here for a few weeks.
Okay.
But
I just
that's
wasn't
gonna
sure if there
dry
was
out.
tape or something that we could just stripe it out on the courts for now.
I don't think it'll stick.
Okay.
Sidewalk chalk?
Just the minute I get that information, I have no idea what that's gonna cost. It could be a ridiculous price, we just said, we can't afford it. And it may be a case, as Laurie said, we've got a special town meeting, it's gonna have to be coming up to raise some more money
Okay.
for various things, and that would be the time we do it.
And does pickleball players require a certain surface? If we would, as you said, to just put stripes down, and someone was to get injured, could it come back on us because it wasn't a proper playing surface?
Okay. I'll look into it. I'm not sure myself, so. I think that's it for me.
One other thing, the pavilion, we will put out the bid.
Okay.
So I'm officially going to make a motion to put, send out for bids on the pavilion to get that moving, since we did raise and appropriate the funds for that specifically to be built.
Okay,
I second that.
okay, all moved and seconded, put it out for bid?
Yeah, with the plans that we had, or are they, is it just gonna be like post and beam,
I've got a,
regular? It's not gonna have the doors on it, like I...
No.
So that anybody that sits there at a picnic table, there's nothing to obstruct, that they can't see the kids in the playground and stuff like
Right.
that, because originally that's what it was for,
Exactly.
not
Right.
a,
I think
not a
we-
concert pavilion or whatever, so. I mean,
can
if
draw
that be
up-
the case,
I
we
can
could
draw up
make
a
it,
sketch for it.
we could make it a little bit higher, a little bit taller, so that you could actually have a band in there, if that's one way we
Well-
could do that.
The plan that I came up with, basically, I went down to Waterboro and I measured up what they've got, because obviously they have concerts there. The back wall is 8 feet high. The front wall is 11 feet. But it's been, one of the ideas that someone bounced off me was to get, they call it the glue lamps that stretch over a 20-foot section, because it's 12 by 20. Is to buy 2 of those, one for down on the eaves, one up for the gable end, but you're gonna have to do quite a bit of bracing for it, because it's all open. You'd have 4 posts and the bracing, and that's it, sitting on top of a concrete slab.
I think size-wise, though, when we send out the request for the proposals, we need to give them dimensions of, you know, this is the size we're looking for with with a concrete base or concrete pad.
I can draw up the plan for it very quickly.
Last week it was stated that this has already been put out to bid by Howard. So I'm just,
No, it hasn't been. The materials,
Howard brought up the pavilion and he had put it out to bid to have the building built with wood. We all just approved those minutes and that's what was brought up last week. So
Right.
I just want to make sure that if there was any companies reached out and to ask to put a bid in to have the pavilion built, that they get the new bid specs so that it's all apples to apples.
Absolutely.
okay?
I know it's a bit of a drive, but if anybody would like to see a pavilion that is 8 feet in the back, 12 in the front, 20 feet long at Oxford Fairgrounds 2 years ago, that's the exact pavilion they built.
Does the board have any problems with me drawing out the plans and the sizes of materials, so everybody's bidding the same thing?
Can, just email it to us so we can look at it before we
Oh,
send it
yeah.
out?
Yep.
Okay.
Do I have a vote?
Yeah, with all that being said, we already had a motion in a second, so if there's no further discussion, we can take a vote.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Okay.
All set?
Let's see. All set.
All set, thank you.
Okay, next, Jared.
Hello. So I sent you guys all an email a couple days ago to let the whole town know. I'm up here requesting a special meeting so we can have access to ambulance billing funds. A few days ago, we got a notice from Maine Health and Maine EMS that in 60 days, they will no longer be providing access for controlled substances. This was talked about since 2017. The DEA they were trying to come up with new rules. It was supposed to be for hospitals, not ambulances. Ambulances were never a thought. So when they implemented these rules, they kind of put a little delay on the ambulances. And we heard from Maine EMS, Maine Health, they said, don't worry about this right now. We're going to handle it. And then Wednesday, I believe, we got a notice, we have 60 days. So what that means is we have to get a DEA license. And to do that, we need upgrades. We need camera upgrades. We need a safe for the station. We need safes in the truck. We need a state disposal license so we can get rid of medications that we don't use or partially use. It's a whole process. We have every chief throughout the state right now is just in a 205 people email chain. Janet Parks from Newfield has done a ton of work getting a lot of stuff together, and so has Biddeford. But I met with a couple of vendors to pretty much meet where we're going to be at. I mean, where we need to be. It's going to be between like $12,000 and $16,000, I'm thinking. There's talk about getting the opioid settlement money from the state, possibly. They're looking into that. I'm going to see what we have. We have partial grant left from Maine EMS. It's not really supposed to be. It's supposed to be used for a couple different things. I'm thinking that we should just use this. I'll contact the state and just ask them if we could just use the $3 or $4 grand. So hopefully that will help some. But I'm going to try to find money wherever we can. But I would like to request a special town hall meeting, and I think I'll have more concrete numbers by the time that comes up. But we're going to have to do this as quickly as possible. We can't apply for a DEA license until we have all this stuff in place. And to get it in place, we're going to have to get these safes. We're going to have to send to the specialty vehicles en masse. If we do not have medications in 60 days, we will drop to a BLS service. And these controlled substances, they're for seizures and restraint, and they're like a whole bunch of medical issues. So yes, I'm looking to see if we could do it as quickly as possible, right around the 14-day mark.
We would need to have the wording for the article, which, I mean, time sensitive wise, it could be as simple as to authorize from the ambulance revenue account an amount not to exceed 20,000. Or up to 20,000 in the event that it goes over. And that gives you the ability to use other accounts to offset it and that, but we just need to be able to present a warrant to to the voters, so.
Have you done a preliminary cost estimate, what's gonna happen here? With safes and everything else?
So the safes are going to be, they're sending me numbers, but it's going to be probably 11 or 12,000 just for those. But it's 3 safes, and they're just super high tech. Pretty much every time you remove something, it knows something's been removed. It knows who removed it. When you get rid of medications, pretty much you just need 2 people to authorize it. It's a whole process. We're going to need a camera. I don't know if it can just be like a blink camera or if we have to call Digital Sky, because Digital Sky's pretty expensive. But I mean, we can go with any company that will need a camera. We're getting a place for this. And then in October, we lose not only controlled substances, we're not going to be provided any medications in the hospital anymore. So that's really what Janet's focusing on right now, because her original estimates were like $6,000 to just stock 1 ambulance. The problem is, if you need a bag of IV fluid, you can't buy 1 bag. You have to buy 40 of them. So now we're looking at like waste. So we need a bunch of people on board. We got to figure something out. Controlled substances, we can't do that. Our DEA license is only going to be for us. There's like no sharing. We can't have one central area. I'm sure this will be overturned at some point, but it's probably going to be years down the road. Yeah.
Well, we're looking at for time here.
I mean, it's gonna take, we have to publish in the paper, don't we?
We have to publish, we have to give notice.
Now, what's the date? Is it 14 days?
I want to say it's a 7-day publishing, but we'd have to get that in Friday at noon? Is that to get into like a Wednesday publishing, Friday at noon? So we'd have to get it in Friday at noon to come out the following Wednesday. So if we're looking at May, we're at the 18th. If we got it in the 22nd, it would come out on the 27th. A week would give us the 23rd, so the earliest we could potentially do a special town meeting would be Tuesday, June 9th. Oh, yeah, never mind.
That's election day.
Yeah. It also doesn't have to be a Tuesday, it can be any day. With the time sensitive of because we have to have these systems in place in order to apply for the DEA license, and the 60
Could we do it the 12th? The 11th or 12th?
11th or 12th.
Does that work for you?
Is there any other type of emergent funds that we could use? There's no like, contingency or something that we could?
Our contingency was denied.
Okay.
We didn't have contingency this year. So, no.
What about the 4th or the 5th?
It wouldn't be advertised for a week. Yeah, it would. I'm not going to be here, so that's up to you guys. We need a moderator. We need to make sure SRC TV can film if we're going to have it at the fire department, because it could be a very big meeting or it could be a 1-person attendance.
Yeah.
So,
What about the 4th? You don't want to do it on a Friday night.
I mean, the 8th is a Monday night. The voters are acclimated to get themselves out to vote.
When we start, remember our meetings change.
Yes, but for,
I would go for the 4th.
Thursday, June 4th? And for the wording, I would, obviously we don't want to spend 20,000 if we don't have to, but I would hate to say 16,000.
Up to
Yeah.
20,000.
How soon do you think you can get some figures together?
I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days. I'm just waiting on these companies. They're also getting ambushed by every EMS agency in the state, so hopefully 2 or 3. I just met with somebody, they were supposed to send me numbers and I haven't received them yet, so I think everybody's just behind.
I mean, do we want to do up to 20,000?
yes.
I think an amount not to exceed 20,000 from the ambulance revenue.
Yeah.
There won't-
So, yeah, it would have to read, shall the town authorize an amount not to exceed $20,000 to be transferred from the ambulance revenue account, or ambulance billing revenue, or whatever that account name is,
That's what it is.
to be used to purchase safes and any necessary licensing for the new mandated DEA licensing for the Limerick Fire EMS Department. That's what I would recommend the wording to be.
Safes, cameras, and,
It's a lot. It's safes, cameras, DEA license, a license for disposal, and probably 5 other things that we haven't even figured out yet. It's a lot. Everyone's working through this together.
Why don't you put that in a...
I'll put it in an email, yeah.
okay.
Email, we can all
Yeah.
look at it and edit it if we have to.
So we should just take a motion, then we can, I'll get that wording out before Friday.
Can we make a motion that we schedule a special town meeting for June 4th at 7 o'clock?
And where do you want to have that?
At the fire station.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have it at the fire station.
Okay.
7 PM, June 4th.
Second, that motion?
Okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Courtney, do you have the
Is
contact
it?
for
Yep, I'm all good.
SRCTV?
Happy birthday.
All right, thanks.
David Blaze, or someone? We'll have to reach out and see if they can film at they're used to it, but we just have to
We
reach
have-
out and schedule them.
Next up, hearing of citizens. Anyone? Joanne?
On the agenda, but I wanted to get this in tonight if I could, because we have an employee that has no record of any earned time being given to them since they started work last year. And he'd like to have someone find out why he hasn't had his earned time. He wasn't even aware of it until somebody saw his stub and, his check stub and said, "Why don't you get earned time?" So he asked me if I would, he knows I come to the meeting, so he asked me if I would say something.
Can you
And while
send,
we're at it, there's a lot of people that their earned time isn't even updated. For instance, I cashed mine out last December, and since January 1st, mine has said 40 hours. And if you do the math, it should say right now, we're into like 20 weeks, it should say like 18.25 hours, and mine says 40, and there's other people too that hasn't got caught up, so if somebody can.
can you send us an email, or send me an email?
Sure.
And, because I've been working with payroll company on that and Julie on that for others as well, so.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I just need to know who and what their typical hours are, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
And is it possible in the future that we have someone that's dedicated as an HR manager? We sorely need a human resource manager.
we do?
And if that could be considered maybe for another year,
At some point, I'm sure, in
And-
the future it'll.
look into it, because right now, some of the employees have little things that if there was a HR manager, that they'd have someplace to go.
Yeah, or at least somebody appointed
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing of citizens. No? Okay, going on, view of legal accounts. We don't have any of those right now. Parking lot paving update, there isn't any. Deep Vale update. Gail?
The project's going, Gail Libby, Revitalization and CDAC, The project's going well down there on Emery Corner Road. I think they might be a little ahead of schedule, but we never know when we're going to run into something difficult. Today, the CDBG money was deposited, $177,000 into Partners Bank, and Julie, I know, is preparing that to pay those construction company and other smaller bills. So everything is going along swimmingly, okay?
When is that project going to be done? And just
They have 6 months to do it, from April 1st.
now, is that going to be,
October 31st.
is that going to be going down by your house?
No, it's turning right at Watson Hill and going up 500 feet and down Peninsula Drive to Mowbray.
Okay, so I couldn't remember that we've had tree companies coming in looking at taking the trees down across from your house.
No, it's not going anywhere near there.
To make sure that's not going to interfere with anything there.
It's fine.
Okay,
Long ways difference, thank you.
okay, the YCSWCD grant.
We,
I have a question on the detail. You'll wait at the end?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
the woman that was here
I
last.
know. she left.
We should have
I-
taken her first.
Was she here for the
Yes.
YCSWCD grant? Yeah, no, yeah, she wasn't for the grant, this grant.
Oh.
She was for a different, she was for under the new business. She was from York County Community Corporation. Anyhow, Thursday, Courtney and I met with, I can't remember her name, but we met with someone from the grant office, and we are in a good spot at the time being for receiving the $75,000 grant. And at this point, we just need to sign this town resolution, or motion and sign to sign this resolution. And basically what it's saying is that we had a workshop on February 2nd, 2026, and we prioritized the following areas. The areas that we prioritized at that workshop were perform building envelope weatherization improvements for publicly owned buildings, installing heat pumps or VRF system for heating and cooling, heat pump water heater, and/or building cooling technologies in publicly owned buildings, upgrade to energy efficient LED interior lighting in publicly owned buildings, develop or enhance early warning systems, community communication plans, and community evacuation plans for before, during, and after disasters, especially for people who traditional channels may not reach, and develop and implement an extreme temperatures emergency plan, including strategies that increase the use of warming and cooling centers by residents. Basically, by making a motion to sign this, it's saying that the town of Limerick commits to participating in the Community Resilience Partnership, which supports community leadership in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing resiliency to extreme weather and climate change impacts. And be it further resolved that the town of Limerick designates to coordinate planning, implementation, and monitoring of energy and resilience. So basically, this is the next step in order to start the application process. We are not guaranteed to get that $75,000. We need to sign, or we need to, if we motion and approve to sign this, then we can start working on the application. This is kind of time sensitive. The application deadline is June 5th. So if we sign this tonight, hopefully we can keep chugging forward. The person at York County said that she, so long as we got this signed tonight, she thinks that we'll be able to make that June 5th deadline pretty good. And Courtney, was there anything I missed? Okay.
I make a motion, to accept the resolutions and sign
You
them.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Great. Okay, tax acquired properties, has anybody got a list of, a name of real estate broker, or?
We need to find somebody to do the tax acquired. We need to get on that, because 'tis the season.
I made one call, but I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, there's very seldom people that do it. It's
More of a hindrance than anything else.
yeah, it's very limited reward. You know, we sell these properties for 20,000, 3% commission on 20,000's not that much, and they have to do a lot more work than a conventional sale. Answer a lot of phone calls. I work in an office where one of the real estate agents does tax-acquired properties, and the amount of phone calls just asking, will the town accept a payment plan? Can I? No, that's why we're selling them. So that's also one of the reasons, I'll be transparent, is Casey Gray, who did them previously, is my employer, so we're not interested. And it's a conflict of interest for me anyway.
More than 3% though, didn't she?
The total sale of the profit was 6%, but that goes,
Thought it was 6%.
but that goes,
3 goes to seller.
3 goes to the seller,
buyer.
3 goes to the buyer.
Oh, okay.
Other towns have implemented policies of like a minimum commission, right, to make it almost worthwhile. It's not much, but it's like a $1,000 minimum commission, so you're not making, I mean,
Probably why I
Sometimes
wasn't
after-
getting a call back.
yeah, sometimes after all these fees, it's like you're bringing home a check of $300 for 3 months worth of work.
So do we want to keep on just making calls to see if we can get names to throw in the hat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last time, the selectmen had a list that they interviewed. They interviewed like 3.
We're trying to get that now.
So basically what we did last time is we took, yeah, we took a listing or a lot of property, and we said, we gave it to 3 different brokers, and we said, can you create us a purchase and sale agreement for this? And we had them all come in and present said purchase and sale agreements, and we went with the one who was the most qualified and had the best presentation of it. So that is something we should do again. Also, the select board, while yes, we do need to have some participation in it, that's why we had Stan do it last time as well, help solicit the realtors, is because we're the ones making the decisions to sell. So if it looks like if us on the select board hire a certain real estate agent and then a property gets sold to one of our friends, it could look like we're colluding. So that's why last time Stan kind of headway with that. I don't know if he'd be interested in doing that again.
I'm sure he has the list.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has everything from last time.
I'll ask him tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Okay. Pickleball, we've already talked about. Porta potty, I don't know if that's back or not.
I did not see it.
I didn't look.
Okay, one other thing that's not on the agenda that I put in, the tree bids. Those are expected. I'm meeting one more tree company tomorrow morning. And the rest of them, they've all been out to look, and just waiting for bids. Okay. Next, the plowing contracts. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Yep.
Yes.
Are we ready to send it out to bid?
Is that what we agreed on last week? I thought we were going to still send it to the attorney.
I thought it was going to be.
Well, we're still going to send the contract to the attorney, but just get the bids out.
Bids out, yeah.
Shouldn't it go out to, shouldn't it go to the attorney before we send it?
Typically, yeah, typically, in the past, the bidder has had a blank copy of the contract, so they know what they're bidding on.
Okay.
In a way, it's the same contract. It's just been cleaned up as far as moving things around, but that was already approved by the attorney.
I don't think it would hurt to run it by Ben, though. I mean, he can have his paralegal or whoever go through it and
It's fine.
pick
Send
out.
the bids out and just say contingency on lawyers, okay, that way they get,
No.
it's gonna be Christmas before you get them out.
So do you guys care if I contact Ben this week to say,
Go ahead.
Can I, because I can scan it, I've got all the equipment at home, I can scan it in, get it over to him, or his assistant, and,
Well, she's got it all with the file on it.
do you have it in Word? Will you send it to me, please? Thank you. Okay, because then I'll forward it all to them in Word, and they'll redline it.
And we also need to decide, according to last week's minutes, have we made a decision on the sand and salt?
We're better off to just keep that right in the contract.
On how we've been doing it.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're gonna get in a big problem as far as storage and everything else.
We get a lot
Which
of new expenses
probably
that come up.
At some point down the road, we're probably gonna be up against it to have that done, but we've got too many other things going here right now.
Do we,
We have to get something together for the sidewalk and the public buildings. Just,
Yeah, I mean,
I
this
hear-
is, we started talking about this back in December, and they were all included as one, so I'm unsure how the road got just separated out. I mean, I would recommend we send all of them. I didn't see many issues with the sidewalk or the town-owned property ones, but I would like to start getting those bids out. I mean, it's summer, now's the time. We're coming up on that 60-day deadline for the November. We're gonna have to schedule a special town meeting to accept these because November could have already been snowing. So we really need to get on these. I'm unsure, because we had sent in all of our changes that we wanted. Like, I know I did anyway.
Months ago.
Sent in our changes, and Alicia had typed them up, put them in red, the changes, and sent them to us. And we guess kicked it down the road, but it's...
Those changes are in there, Brady.
Okay, well, yeah, I know you mentioned the town-owned properties and the sidewalks. It's just,
Do we want to keep on with those two separate contracts, or do we want to combine them into one?
I do not want to combine them into one. Because if we have a default, that means we're out of everything. If we have a default on a contract, that means we have to find a new contractor for the sidewalks, the town-owned properties, and the roads.
oh, no, for municipal properties and sidewalks, just one.
The roads are all
Roads are
taken care of.
separate.
It's just municipal properties and the sidewalks.
Yeah. Since it's all right there.
I don't think so. I think it's fine keeping them separate, but that's my opinion.
I'm just trying to think, cost-wise for the town, for the residents, it would hopefully lower it some. And this way, they'd be doing the sidewalks when they're doing the town properties. It just cuts down on one extra bill coming in.
Well,
If you're gonna combine both of them, you're gonna have to go, the requirements for the equipment's gonna have to be almost double. It's gonna have to be double, so someone who bids on it to do the sidewalks at the same time as the town-owned properties, they're gonna have to double the equipment.
actually, the sidewalks, that is,
8 hours before they have to be done. The stop.
right, but there was a depth there, which last winter, there was one time when it didn't even reach 2 inches, and we had to clear them out, but, I've been hearing scuttlebutt about problems with people. Seems like, a matter of fact, I had one person tell me today that seems like we're the only town around that does the sidewalks. I remember, I know I'm gonna get criticized for this one, but back years ago when Frank was around, we had one person go down every so many weeks with a bucket loader and get the local guys to get a few dump trucks and clean them. Now,
He had a
granted,
list, and it was rotating.
it was
all the
rotating,
guys to
right.
work. Yeah.
Whether or not those have to be done every storm is a question mark. But, and the other scenario I've had posed me is every property owner clean the sidewalk. I would think that'd be a horror show. I know there's always been a fight on Main Street, clearing the snow out up there. I mean,
There
now,
were businesses all on Main Street, and Main Street would be the ideal place for the businesses to take care of their own, because the state.
I'm getting air
files-
traffic controlled for you to go to the.
Absolutely, sorry. The way the state trucks go through and slap it back up there, there's, you know, the people that own the stores and all the businesses are right there trying to make sure that they're clean anyway for their businesses. And if you're gonna do the sidewalks, Main Street would be ideal to put it out for the businesses. I mean, you think, just look at Main Street, and there's some business on every one. Washington Street, you've got a lot of houses, but then you've got the water district that would have to cover a good amount of space. You know, that maybe is not so much, whatever. But yeah, Main Street, I think, with the hassles with all the vehicles and stuff.
I know years ago, I'm talking back when I was a kid. Don't go back that far, okay?
Yep, I was there
We used to,
with you.
Not me.
the individual businesses used to clean Main Street. But shows you'd have these horrendous piles up there, and after a while, it gets to be a problem.
Yep.
And plus, you gotta, there's really not too many places to put snow on Main Street.
And then you have the piles, have it like Frank, have
Going down
one.
over- Going down over the hill on with the sidewalks, I mean, is it, from a safety standpoint, yeah, probably every storm.
I'd like to check out that contract too, because it's not safe for a one-ton truck to go down a sidewalk either. Okay. Well, we're on Palm contracts. Did you realize the power was still on the salt shed? And the lights are on 24/7? No one has shut the power down since that contract expired. Were you aware of that?
No.
It's been shut off now?
He pays the bill.
The contractor?
Yeah.
It's expired, the
It's
contract's.
expired. He's not the contractor anymore. This
If that's
is
the case, he shouldn't have equipment down there then.
But he's,
I'm just saying, something that was brought to my attention, so I didn't know whether the town was doing it or the contract or whatever. And is there going to be a new gate put in there on the end?
haven't got that far yet,
Okay,
Sherry.
okay. We can cross this one off.
So,
So we need to work to get that to the attorney too, and maybe put it out that if they want to bid for both, they can. If a bidder wants to combine it, they can.
well, do we want to keep in the same scenario we've got right now? As far as what gets cleaned, and
I mean, I don't
or do
think,
we set aside and say we're going to clean it after every, I'm just throwing this out, after every couple storms or 3 storms? The only thing is you run into a safety issue on those sidewalks.
And what determines the amount of snow in a storm, what
Right.
determines if it's a storm of ice or snow, yeah.
I don't think you could do it by number of storms, because you could get 3 nor'easters in a row.
It was always a case where the selectman would call up and say, hey, we need to have this stuff cleared out. And there was a list of, there again, Frank used to handle that, but there was a whole list of people, and he'd do a rotating basis and haul people, but that was years ago, and it wouldn't work today, probably. What?
Keep it separate. It's 2 different crews altogether, 2 different types of snow removal when you come right down to it. And if one contractor has both of them, who's going to get the short end and get their work done last? That's the way I look at it. Especially the town-owned properties, because I have to rely on I have to rely on calling the contractor if we have a big storm and say, hey, we're not going to be open today, so don't do it, you know. And it's two different types of contractors, really, when you look at it.
Yeah.
They're both dealing with the same thing, but different crews.
And does that fall under the safety director? A sidewalk, people are on foot. Is that, I don't know. To make that call, should the safety,
What, to get out there to do it?
to call the contractor that has the sidewalk and say, I don't feel it's safe, can you get out and remove the snow or
That's our
ice?
call.
That's our call.
That's our call.
Okay.
So send them out, get them out, all of them out to the attorneys and for approval, so we can get them all out.
I would say so. If we're gonna keep it the way it is right now, unless somebody reads it and sees that they wanna make an addendum to it, let's see, send them to
Send them to the attorney.
there shouldn't be, I mean, they've already been reviewed once.
Yep. So it should be fairly quick and easy.
Now, there was no changes not made as far as like equipment goes on anything for the sidewalk or the town on, it's all the same?
Nothing's been touched on that. There was, I'll take that back, there was one I noticed that is gonna be a hindrance as far as bidders, is there's one of the loaders, or the loader has a 12-foot push box on it, which someone bidding that today, I don't know of anyone other than the one that's doing it now that's got one. If we have it as an option of saying, well, they have a front-end loader, but they don't necessarily have to have the push box, but it's neither here nor there.
I think it would make it a lot faster for them.
Oh, yeah, but I would say it's up to the contractor if he wants to use the bucket or if he wants to use the push box. I mean, that's his on his dime. But, anyway, so
All right.
we can send those out. Bangor Savings Payroll, you did anything
Yep.
on that one?
Yeah, Dallas Clark, the representative from Bangor Payroll Company, emailed a couple of, well, actually 4 dates in which that he could meet with us at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Himself and one other representative from Bangor Payroll Company. That would be May 26th, June 2nd, June 9th, and June 16th. He wanted to know if the board felt they could choose one of those dates, or pick a date in which I could email him back.
June 2nd is a meeting.
Yeah, but he can meet at 4 o'clock.
Sure, I would say that
That
would work for
work
me.
Yep. Wade?
Everybody can make it?
All right, so June 2nd at 4 o'clock?
Yep. Okay, next, the TextMy Gov update.
Much other than it's just a communication device between the municipal building and the townspeople. That's really all it boils down to. I was told that all the information I could get for that was on the website, which it didn't really give me anything.
So having our cell phone numbers on the website is basically the same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically the same thing. Like us putting it on the weather channels is basically like the same thing.
Okay. So
Okay,
can we take that off?
do we have anything on the MRI workshop?
I have not heard back from Carrie yet on setting up a time when Christian is available.
Okay,
I did reach out to her again today, but now my emails are bouncing back from her, so I need to get her phone number, or I have her phone number, so I need to call her.
Okay. Next one, New York County Community Corporation Needs Assessment.
She rescheduling.
Yeah, because she lives so far away and because of how late it was, she went home. So I will get in contact with her to reschedule that.
Okay. And Courtney's asked about moving the bulletin board down to the entrance, handicap entrance. Any problem with that? Anybody ever see?
I would make a motion to move that bulletin board
I'll
and make sure that it's updated with the correct times.
I'll second it. All in favor? Okay. Selectmen admin website access.
We need to get
We
you
need-
website access, don't we? Gail, can you get together with Courtney to get her access so she can start learning how to use the system so she can do uploading?
Right, she uploads a number of things, at least she did before.
Yep, so she can do that. She can change our phone numbers.
Yeah, so I am asking for access. I know Alicia did it before I was here, but I am not Alicia. So I would like access to be able to upload things to the website so we keep things updated. That's all I'm asking for.
That's perfect, because she has those documents first.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So the warrants will be posted.
Right.
Okay, next, Bricktown Hall egress.
Anything new on that?
Gail Libby, the report, I believe, is almost done. They're getting some cost estimates on what they're proposing on these three things. So I'll check with Nancy Barbet. I do have another question.
Okay.
I've asked a couple weeks now about the article that's paying for this. It hasn't been created in the general ledger. That's since March of 2025. And the board was going to let me know. Everything's being posted to the wrong project
Okay.
that has $257 in it.
And that's something that you and Julie are working on, correct?
Well, it's a
It's straight
warrant
out.
article
Right.
that said something.
Right, but I also know that Julie wasn't getting a lot of the warrants. to
They're on
change things. But I'm just saying, this is something, the board can't go into Trio and change anything.
No, I know that, but
This is something that has to be done
every
with Julie.
warrant should go to the treasurer. That's a warrant about money.
Yep, agreed.
So I'm not sure who gives it to her, but seriously.
I
She
don't
did get
disagree.
this warrant, by the way, because there were 4 projects that were to hit the account. 3 of them were put on there. This one has never been put on there.
Okay.
So the other thing is, you should look at, is that what that warrant said for each of the 4. There was money to be moved in some way other than land sales negating it. You might get surprised here if you don't watch out. So I'm just saying, this is week 3, and I've sent many emails and many to the boards, not just you guys, concerned about this because it's been over a year. Okay. So as soon as we get that straightened out, which it's not too bad, is there any way that, are you the liaison? Have you assigned liaisons to different?
No.
Okay. So you don't have a liaison to the treasurer's office right now that, okay,
I'm still on the books for that one.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Next, discuss Selectman's office being open or closed on June 9th, voting day. That's the second Tuesday that, new meeting nights.
So I put this on the agenda because June 9th is voting day. So I know Judy and Dee Dee's office is closed. I'm not sure about the treasurer's office, but I am asking if you guys want me to come in and work that day or not work that day. And then if you don't want me to come in that day, I need to know if I'm going to be paid for it like a holiday. I have no problem coming in and working that day. I can close my curtain and get stuff done. But I just need to be pointed in a direction so I know what's going on.
I would say keep open.
I would, yeah, you may as well come in and work. There's no reason not to. I mean, I know Judy and Dee Dee, it's because they're running the elections and it's using their offices, so.
I'm gonna
And if
ask Julie about being open too.
Huh? Julie will be?
I'm gonna ask her about being open. 'Cause
Yeah.
we've got a lot of work to.
Well, even if she's not open, she needs to be here to work on the books.
Yeah. It technically is not a holiday, it's not a
Closed.
closed
But even
holiday.
if you guys want to close the door so you can get some work done,
Yeah, and that's all it was. It was just checking on that because I have no problem coming in and working that day. I can close my blinds and get stuff done.
thank you for asking about this like well ahead of time.
What's the plan for the meeting
What
that
about-
week? What's the plan for the meeting that week?
I'm gonna bring that up right now. Where that's falling on our new meeting nights.
Yep. Gail, when do you take everything down? Monday? Like Monday after a meeting?
Like Monday at 7 a.m.
Oh.
Katie wants this room.
How about we move our meeting to the 10th?
Do we know if the planning board is meeting on the 10th?
I have no idea what they're
Do you
doing.
have a calendar?
Well, Wade read the announcements.
Beyond that,
Not on the schedule.
Is it in the announcements?
No, planning board meeting is not in the announcement.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
That's okay. I said they meet,
The 10th? Is that the next day?
Yeah, it's the day after.
They will use that day to take everything down and put it back together. We'll be up here at 7 a.m.
okay, let's check with Dee Dee tomorrow and see what the plan is. We don't have
Skip
to
a
know
week.
that tonight. We'll decide next week.
Yep.
Okay, next, I guess, I know we talked amongst ourselves earlier about parade, marching in the parade.
It's a nice thing to do.
I plan to.
yeah,
But I'm bringing my golf cart. And I'm gonna dress it up.
Unicycle.
Have fun.
Okay, no.
Have fun with that.
No, you're gonna dress it up. I'm hiring my golf cart maintenance man.
You're gonna have Mac escort you around, are you?
Yeah.
Secret Service.
And maybe I'll even bring the granddaughter and she'll be on the back hanging out just waiting.
Okay, let's go on here. We don't have any appointments or resignations, discussion of agenda items, public.
Sarah?
Anybody? Go ahead.
Mostly just questions answered. First one is the dates on that DEP. There was 4 different dates. That wasn't brought up to make a date to find out, because they gave you those, okay? Need that to be done. Did I hear that we do or do not have lawyers?
We do.
We do. Okay. What happens when you have violations? If we didn't have a lawyer, are the lawyers handling them now? Court order violations
It depends.
on?
If we are reached out to say, hey, need to get together with the attorneys, this is what's going on.
No, this was a court order violation that was, the next step is done. It's in the business park. Go from there.
Again.
I think that's being handled by the code enforcement right now, if it's the one I think.
Oh, okay, all right.
But-
DEP,
But
that.
we need to get a hold of Stan because it appears, and I could have misread something, but it appears that Stan believes that even though we have told him if he needs to be in contact with the attorney, it just needs to go through us to filter through so we can say, hey, Stan needs to talk to you, give him a call. He's under the impression that he is completely cut off from the attorneys and not allowed to talk to them at all. So can somebody talk to Stan maybe to say, hey, we're just trying to help
How we
filter?
always did it before, he always let us know before he had to make a call. He just never jumped on. He emailed us or let us know that he had to do it, so I can let him know tomorrow. But as long as he lets us know ahead.
Yeah, Ben just kind of wants it filter a little bit so that he can get an idea of what Stan is calling about before he either calls Stan or vice versa kind of thing.
So we do have an attorney for,
Yes.
like, with the fire department mess up and everything, that's.
Yes,
they're being- okay.
yes, we just may end up having to.
Okay, and one last thing.
What do you mean the fire department mess up?
Not mess up.
You just said, I just.
Sorry, I quoted it wrong.
Okay.
The fire department situation, okay? Better word? Okay. I heard something in a meeting several weeks ago and was surprised because I didn't think I had done it. I know I forget a lot of things, but concerning Deep Vale, I've been doing a lot of research and I would welcome any help I can get. I'm looking for I guess they call it the warrant when we vote, whatever meeting, special town meeting, regular November, June, whatever. I cannot find where the people voted to pay 25% of Deep Vale's cost. Can anybody help me? Because it was stated that we have to come up with like $74,000 for the next payment, or $64,000 or something.
Courtney,
Yeah, can you add?
The CDBG contracts will spell that out, I'm sure. It's standard, 75-25. Has been for 15 years I've been involved.
Right, but she's looking for the warrant article that was voted on.
By the people to come up with this, not the grant, because we've had grants up the yin-yang, we've had them,
Right.
but this is the specific one that I've ever heard of and I thought water and sewer in not fire department, is Aussie Cuomo, whatever you want to call it. We are not, taxpayers do not pay for all of this
Right.
reconstruction.
Right.
So
Portion of, can you research that and see if you can find when
I've
that
got the
vote was?
dates that I thought was, but it doesn't say, there's nothing, I mean,
Yeah,
when we voted on the ARPA fund account, they moved the capital money, and then they approved the funds for such and such revitalization account. But there was never anything about the public having to pay 25%. So, just,
Well, we'll check the contract, the CDBG, and the rules there, and.
who signed the contract?
A selectman.
Okay, did the people vote on that? Because if it's any money, we have to vote on it. So you would have had to have put it,
People voted to accept CDBG funds, I know that.
I still would like to have it in writing, copies of it or something.
Sure.
I will do the research.
No
And
rush.
try to
It's been this
figure
long.
out where it is.
It was a shock, when I heard that we have to come up with money, how many times has this happened?
She'll look it up.
Main Street and
Okay.
now,
Oh, well, we foot that bill too?
all three of them, yes, it's standard.
I don't even have the use of the water.
25%. Okay.
Okay, anybody else, public?
Thank you, Courtney.
When you get multiple grants, like we did with Hollandville, we got CDBG and we got an EPA grant. When you do that, the grant from CDBG paid the 25% on Hollandville, right? So that Hollandville project was 100% federal money except the soft cost, because you have to, CDBG or the EPA will not pay the upfront preliminary planning and grant writing, okay? Nobody does that. You have to do that with every grant. Main Street was 25%. We paid, the town paid for that, yes, and they are doing that with, ARPA is paying $125,000 of the matching, okay? So the total match is $250,000. So the town will pick up $125,000. So you're getting this project for $125,000 plus soft costs, cheap money.
Right, right, no, she's just asking to find
Right.
where
But
the vote was on it.
when we have every meeting, we have public meetings, we have public, these things are talked about at all those things. Is it explicitly said in a vote? I don't know, Cheryl. Okay, but.
Well, I think it should be, so
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
the public is aware of, I mean, our taxes are high enough as it is. And then we have,
I agree.
Granted, the water needed being done, but that's not my fault. I'm 2 miles down the street, and I imagine there's a lot of other people in town that could use that tax money in their own pockets too.
Well-
I think we need a new grant writer or new grants or something needs to be done. Everything's up front and not in tiny
I
bills.
agree with that statement, and maybe there's a good way to do that, okay? And we can produce some nice reports, and maybe Lori would meet with me, and we could talk about it. I agree with you totally. Thank you.
But the money's gone because we don't know about it now until after the fact. Just
There are people that have stood here, including Neil Meltzer from the Water District, that says public water is serving all the people, okay? You come to this building and you flush the toilet.
his opinion. I'm not.
You come to this building and you flush the toilet, okay? You are using public funds. Okay, you go to the fire department and you use something there. It's water
I
that,
don't go there. I'm not flushing any toilets.
well, you can wash your car if you're a fireman. I'm just saying that there is reasons that the public helps, okay? In a community, we're a community. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Move for adjournment?
I want to speak.
I understand, Gail Libby, I understand May 20th, foyers are going to be opened up.
Yes.
I have one from November 2025. I think it might be at the head of the class. Could I have that one?
November 2025?
Yeah, I can't, it might be the 6th, I can't remember the date,
Okay.
but it was a FOIA request.
All right.
And I'm looking for source documents, that's what it says, and source documents are not journal entries, they're not computer reports, they're source documents authorizing what happened with what I'm asking for.
Okay. Getting back, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Good night.